say I use like a jet. Like you can see the fire from the exhaust like full time. We risk our life, but it is what it is. Like hopefully you get a good machine. So I want to have like proper missile and how do you say minigun.
The one with the like Tommy gun with them.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. And oil like a oil leak weapon.
Yeah, perfect. Mad Max style, love it. What's happening, guys? My name is Becky Evans and welcome to Motorfest, the podcast brought to you by Red Bull and Ubisoft's iconic game, the Crew Motorfest. This is the podcast where I get to chat with some of the world's leading motorsport athletes and delve into their passions for all things speed, wings and wheels. And the really cool thing is, you can actually listen into this podcast whilst you're playing the game. Today's guest was born with some serious athlete instincts. I'd be very surprised if you hadn't seen or heard of him. His name is Yuki Tsunoda, and what he's most famous for is his electrifying talent on the F1 grid. He's been racing for about 20 years. Well, that's if you also include his career as a kid go-karter, growing up in Sekigahara, about an hour away from Tokyo. He lives in Italy currently, but he's joining me today here in Milton Keynes. Yuki, thanks so much for being here and welcome to the show. How are you?
Amazing. Just in the UK. Just flew back from Brazil. Yeah, just had a bit of 2 weeks gap, so excited for a bit of rest now.
So let's jump straight into it, Yuki. You've been described as a person who lights up a room when you walk into it, as someone who knows exactly what you want, and you're unashamed and unafraid to express it. And in terms of your identity as a driver, you're known for quite a modern driving style. Could you break down what you feel your driving style is for us watching you on the screen?
My driving style, mainly, I have good confidence with the braking, so I'm good at attacking the braking, so you can use that also, the 1 lap, qualifying lap, hot lap, and also to overtake someone. I think this is coming from the karting skills when I was very, very young, like 13, 20, 12 years old or whatever. My dad used to teach me a lot about braking, and that kind of base or DNA still inside my driving skill, and definitely I like to attack braking. Recently last Grand Prix was a bit too much sometimes, and unfortunately a couple of times went to the wall, but still have good confidence, and feels great when you feel the G-force, with the maximum longitudinal G-force when you have nailed the braking.
How do you feel that you have evolved as a driver in these years, obviously starting in go-karting and then to present day?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things. When I was karting, a lot of emotional things that probably, as a human, I was growing significantly, fast, and especially those time. And at some point, I even didn't like much motorsports. I got distracted by other sports. I'm a person like, I want to try a lot of sports. I'm very active. So I tried like downhill mountain biking, swimming, a lot of kind of stuff, skateboarding, for example. And I knew somewhere in my mind that motorsport is the things that probably I'm very good at. And I started 4 years old, and there's always strong passion inside my heart. So it started. It's kind of went through those moments and evolved throughout the years. And especially compared to first day Formula 1, which was 2021, and compared now, it's a lot different. Even at 4 years, this kind of environment makes my mindset as very strong as a human. Not just inside of racing, also outside of racing. I feel in general place I feel grown.
That explains so much. When I watched you on that Red Bull series where it was you trying different sports, you absolutely shone, because it was just like getting to do other things and you were so happy and excited.
Yeah, serious race series, I think that goal, I know you try to race with the vehicle that you don't normally race with, and adaptation to that is quite key, and probably because I was doing a lot of sports, you get used to it with adapting to some sports immediately. So probably that's why I'm good at it. And also the moments I feel a lot of adrenaline, I have to go flat out, and I go straight out from straight away from the once I hold the steering and see how it goes. And those kind of moments are really, really exciting.
Yuki, I feel like you'd make a great drift driver. From everything you've just said there, I think you'd be very good at it. I can't wait for the day to see you in a drift car.
Hey, I love drifting. You know, like yes, when I was in karting, rain condition, for example, like you can drift around, right? Like especially, you know, corner entry, it's actually sometimes good to drift a little bit to rotate the car and to drive fast in the corner. But current Formula One, like it's hard to drift. You know, like you can drift, but not the drift that probably every people thinking about. You know, like it's not like talking drift. You know, you can't just drift all the way through a corner. Sometimes actually drifting is good training for us because of, you know, it's still there's a lot of sliding, you know, while in the hot lap. But because of we got used to too much with the grip, that trying to not slide too much, sometimes you can't really react as much as you used to it. So actually drifting training is some drivers does it, and actually some point even like when I went back to Japan, I did some time on the snow doing something drifting and just have fun. Yeah.
This is a question I'm asking all of my guests in all seriousness. If you could be a car, a plane, a boat, or a motorbike, which would you be and why?
Oh, good question. I'm thinking either plane or motorbike. I think a plane is quite good because you can fly around, but probably it'll be boring. You see just same view all the time. So above the clouds, so I would choose motorbike.
Yeah, we're like trying to match people's personalities with which vehicle they take. I love the fact that you chose the plane. You're like, it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Just floating about up there. We'll take the motorbike.
I'm actually quite easy to get bored with any sports. Probably that's why I got distracted a lot of sports. That's probably one of the reasons that I got distracted. But yeah, it's just easy to get bored.
That's my favorite tagline from this podcast. Yuki Tsunoda, great driver, easily distracted.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, you've been driving for a very long time. Your father was a mechanic and a former car racer himself. How has his influence been pivotal on your... Hey boys and girls, I hope you can keep up because we're about to go hard with the elite of motorsports, the AGP. Cars that can easily go up to 220 miles per hour. And because we always want more in this playlist, we add boost gauges. It's going to be strategic. And as always, I did my homework and talked all things racing with a...
Drivers are focused. The start is imminent. A full AGP race, using boosts in the right place at the right time, will be decisive. going to be a completely different race from now on. Drivers are focused. The start is imminent. A full AGP race, using boosts in the right place at the right time, will be decisive. Second lap. It's raining. It's going to be a completely different race from now on. AGP Museum is on this circuit. 4 generations, RB 13, 14, 18 and 20. 7 years of evolution from Renault to Honda engines. Between them, these 4 account for more than 70 podiums. Ultimate lap. Drivers, if you've got any extra nitro, now's the time to use it.
Good choice. Ready to go?
As I mentioned earlier, you've been driving for a very long time. Your father was a mechanic and a former car racer himself. How has his influence been pivotal on your career?
Yeah, definitely my dad. Yeah, influenced my career a lot of parts, and like I said previously, that for example driving, part of my driving skill that I have a lot of confidence in the braking. Definitely my dad gave a lot of tips about braking, and he's the one who always saying like, when you start, first thing you enter to the corner, the first thing you do is braking, right? Maybe some corners doesn't do it, but that brake, how you brake will affect your car movement afterwards. So braking is actually really important part of the corner. And yeah, like he loved to do something mechanics, like touching some cars, karting and set up the cars, and also probably he used to do a bit of motorsports as well. So he enjoyed, doing a lot of doing motorsports with me. And yeah, I think it was always part of my career until especially like 14 years old. He was very strict. It started 4 years old. Like we started casually, and once I actually started to win, probably he saw there's my bit of talent to myself, and maybe he thought probably we thought that maybe we can be professional driver at some point, but to step up like that way, we need to be more serious to motorsports, and he's the one started a bit more serious and strict, and that's why one of the reasons that I sometimes didn't like motorsports, because he was always the person like angry, mad at me, like when I have bad race, he's the one who very mad at me and didn't really enjoy it, but without those things and without his teach or taught, like the lessons, I wouldn't be here. So yeah, I very appreciate him.
I think it makes a better driver, genuinely. I did go-karting when I was 7 years old, and my dad was always like, "It's okay, sweetie." I remember hitting
Yeah, it's something like that as well.
I remember the cone in the middle of the track,
Yeah.
to separate the pack for the transponders. I just drove straight through it, and I came off the track, and my dad was like, "It's okay, sweetheart. We'll go again next time." Club
Yeah.
forwards, I'm not a champion driver, so like I can totally appreciate the strictness from dads. It definitely gives you a good level of discipline.
Sometimes actually, I was always watching the drivers or the family that parents teaching to their kids very kindly, and I was always compared to my situation with my dad, like, my dad, I would love to have like that kind of bit of kindness, when you teach me something, because like, like sometimes it's a bit too much strict, but probably because of he know my personality, like I don't really recognize until I experience something really bad, then probably he knew about my personality, especially those kind of, I wouldn't say negative side, but one of the bit of weakness of myself.
Playlist cleared and ready for takeoff, driver.
All right.
This season is all about luxury cars. If you've played the Ferrari playlist, you know what I mean.
Let's keep talking.
But it doesn't end there.
I don't really recognize
The festival has invited numerous guests and brands to take part over the years.
this until
And now, the most prestigious brands are opening their doors to us. Our luxury car authority, the Archivist, has been invited by the greatest European luxury car manufacturers to discuss a jewels are formed. A grand tour of Europe that you'll be getting a taste of in this new playlist experience.
I experienced something really bad. Then
Onto the container. You'll discover everything this voyage was about.
one of the middle.
Let's complete this playlist.
Let's get back to Motorfest the podcast.
I don't really recognize until I experienced something really bad. Then probably he knew about my one of the bit of weakness of myself to progress the karting, and well, that's why he was being very aggressive to me.
You were 7 years old when you went to your first F1 race. That must have made a huge impact. Like, what can you remember from that very first F1 race?
First time I saw Formula One, like you said, 7 years old, when I went to Fuji Speedway in Japan, Japanese Grand Prix. Initial impression from Formula One was just too loud. First of all, the engine sound, and I remember like I was always covering the ears. To be honest, obviously, if I hear it now, it's just amazing sound, like V10, like it's so cool. But at that point, I was like get annoyed with that sound every time the cars come, pass in front of me. You just have to always cover the ears, and still you can hear through the hands. So yeah, it's like I didn't really have a good impression about Formula One, but at the same time, I got impressed about the environment, how the Formula One race works, and also all the drivers, how the high quality drivers are. And definitely I dream about, or one day I want to be a Formula One driver, but hopefully less sound.
I mean, taking that thought and cut to 2020 and your first experience driving an F1 car. It was a test session at Imola circuit. You were driving the Toro Rosso STR13. Can you describe that car and those crazy first sensations when you drove it?
Yeah, I still remember first time I drove Formula One. It was like, first of all, I got impressed about initial longitudinal G-force after I accelerate. Just like the acceleration power I felt was you can't compare with anything, and the vehicle I drove until then, and just it has so much power. And even actually, it was first time I drove was rain condition, which is kind of less grip, obviously, because rain condition a bit more slippery, so you can't experience fully. It's not like dry condition, so you can't really feel the full power of Formula One, but still, with the rain condition, feel massive power. And also, one thing I got really impressed most was the braking. So even rain condition, normally you press brake half of pressure compared to the dry condition. So there's a bit of step compared to Formula 3 to Formula 2. There's a change to carbon brake in Formula 2, and I still remember Formula 2 first time brake. I still got surprised, but like 2, 3, 10 times more. Like once the brake, like my neck went immediately forward, and like almost I touched the steering. Luckily not, but like, okay, no, oh damn, this braking is very like have a serious power. Most of the time after that, you try to tense your bit neck and brake, and normally you'll be okay. It was like that situation in Formula 2, but every time even when I tensed my neck, it's still my neck went forward. Like the power of the braking, I got like super surprised about that.
Let's talk about F1. It is the pinnacle of motorsport in the highest class of single-seater racing. It's all about speed, positioning, pushing the machine to the limit. F1 cars generally generate a speed of over 200 miles per hour on the straights. But there's more to F1 than just speed. It's about timing, aerodynamics, the strategic thinking. It's about precision. Can you walk us through an F1 qualifying session for us?
It's quite a simple thing. There's not much strategy to think about. Just drive fast in one lap. Drive fastest, try to be fastest in one lap. You can also feel the best quality, best performance from.
This season is all about luxury cars. If you've played the Ferrari playlist, you know what I mean.
The Formula One.
But it doesn't end there.
Because once you be in a race,
The festival has invited numerous guests and brands to take part over the years.
you carry
And now, the most prestigious brands are opening their doors to us.
100 liters of fuel. And also the tire won't be new tire, so it's already worn. So you have to kind of manage the tire to last long enough to make the strategy works. But in qualifying one lap, you don't have to think about it. And with a fresh tire, it just feels full power of it. And it's all about how much you can nail every corners. Like obviously it's hard to be 100% perfect every corners, but every drivers are aiming to be 100% close to 100% performance lap, and that's kind of beautiness and the thrilling is the one that I really like most from the qualifying.
So describe to me your ultimate dream machine. That could be a car, a bike, a plane, and I want you to talk me through like what's your custom color setup, what kind of sound is it making?
Our luxury car authority, the Archivist, has been invited by the greatest European luxury car manufacturers to discuss.
Tell me what that looks like and sounds like.
Right, color I don't care. In terms of sounds, I'd miss B10 B12 sounds, so that one. But engine, I would say I use like a jet. You know, like you can see the fire from the exhaust, like full time. And I used to love the movie called Death Race. You know, there's a lot of weapon on the car and kill each other. I would love that. You know, like obviously you risk your life, but it is what it is. You know, like and hopefully you get a good machine. So I want to have like proper missile and how do you say the minigun. Miniguns.
The one with the Tommy gun with the
that one, yeah. And oil like a oil leak weapon, something like that.
Perfect.
To defense.
Mad Max style, love it.
Thus, a common passion for beautiful vehicles and to show us the places where these jewels are formed. A grand tour of Europe that you'll be getting a taste of in this new playlist experience.
If you were to take me for a personal tour inside your garage,
Onto the container, you'll discover everything this voyage was about.
what would I find? Is there a car that you own that you just absolutely love?
I would say Honda NSX. It's not like old classic NSX, which I still love that one. But currently I have a new modern NSX, and the comfortableness you feel there in that car is amazing. Even though supercar, most of supercar actually is very fast, but not really made for like a long ride trip car. And actually NSX, even I drove more than, we say like kilometers, so we say 500 kilometers or whatever, 400 miles.
Yep.
You don't feel any back pain, and just amazing. We're still having a good power. It's more than 600 horsepower.
Right, we're going to have a bit of a fun quiz. It's rapid fire. You've got to tell me which answer comes to your mind first. I'm going to give you some options, and then I just want your immediate thought process, okay? Which one that you're going to pick.
Yep.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Extreme cold or extreme heat?
Extreme heat.
Driving by day or driving by night?
Is that like Formula One or just normal
Just
vehicle?
normal.
All right. Night.
The last time you received a speeding ticket?
Oh, I received recently documents from Rome. I don't know what I did, but it was actually yesterday I got, so yesterday.
Perfect. Yes.
Yesterday.
Do you sometimes talk to your cars?
No.
You've never
it's-
talked to your F1 car?
Right. Talk?
Say, be good to me today.
Never. It's more like be good to me rather than I'll
like,
be.
come on, girl. We've
True,
got
yeah.
this.
Never. Like
Wow.
there's a natural sense that probably connect each other, but yeah, I don't talk.
What are your current favourite music tracks to listen to whilst driving? So pre-race, getting into the zone, and post-race to relax and de-stress.
I don't recently listen much to music before the session, but like to de-stress sometime after the session or on my way back to the hotel, I listen quite often to country music recently. I really like multiple country music, like from Australia or even obviously US and Texas. I was just been US, and it's perfect to listen to the country song. So yeah, country song.
Is it better to be the best strategist or have the best driving skills?
Best driving skill.
If you had to choose any of the motorsport discipline, be it on land, on water, or in the air, which would you choose and why?
That's sick. On the air, that'll be sick. It's like Top Gun. I'm right? I'm thinking about, Top Gun, why not? On the air, right?
With the sunglasses?
Yeah.
Like,
Hell yeah.
the whole thing?
Yeah.
I've learned a lot about you today, Yuki. I love it. I think it's brilliant. Yuki, thank you so much for joining me today. Before you go, I'd like to finish up with this quote from Christian Horner himself. Our biggest asset is not the buildings or the machines, it's the people and the brain power and the way they work together. The people feed off each other. Would you agree, and what does this mean for you?
100%. Formula One environment, like for people thinks all about, driving in car. And probably you see most of it from the driver that, who's performing in the car, but actually without the people who works, obviously creates every part of the car, and obviously not just about the mechanics, people who develop in the car, also who organizing the sponsors to obviously bring the money to develop the parts or something like that. I think without anyone currently, I think we're able to perform as much as right now in every team. I can say that, and I think it's very team sport. You can see like pit stop, for example, while in the race, most of the current fastest pit stops is at point 1.9, 1.8. It's a range until 0.2, 0.5, 2.6 is still a good pit stop, but if you miss that, for 3 seconds or 4 seconds, you lose a lot of lap time in the race. And I think to achieve good race as a whole, as a team, we need everyone to work properly. So I think it's definitely what Christian says, proper valid.
Amazing. Yuki, you've been great. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
That's it for today's episode of Motorfest the podcast. My name is Becky Evans. You can find me and all of the other episodes on all of your audio platforms, Spotify, YouTube. You can also just type in my name, that's Becky with a Y, and binge the rest of the series. And you can also listen to parts of it whilst you're playing the game. That's the Crew Motorfest from Ubisoft. Take care, guys, and we'll see you on the next episode.
I started Drift Masters with 620 natural aspirated horsepower, and in Riga I was clutch kicking in 5th gear.
Yeah, I remember the same. I was the same as well. Yeah.
Like coming around the turn. Wow! Wow!
What's happening, guys? I'm Becky Evans, and welcome to Motorfest, the podcast, brought to you by Red Bull and the iconic Ubisoft game, The Crew Motorfest. This is a podcast where I get to talk to the top motorsport athletes in the world about their passions of all things speed, wings, and wheels. And if you didn't already know, you can actually listen to this podcast whilst you're playing the game. So sit back, relax, and listen to the athletes that get to drive them in the real world. Let's go. Now, that isn't the sound of my SR22 there, but it is the noise of the BMW M4 that you get to play in the game. And I've got with me today 2 guests on my podcast that have driven it in real life. So Elias Hutunji and Connor Shanahan, welcome to Motorfest, the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, this is a car, the BMW M4, that Ellie, you know extremely well. You've been there since the beginning, development stage.
Yes, like this is probably one of our biggest projects that we've done so far as a team. We teamed up with BMW M, and we actually got 2 pre-production cars before they were out on sale, and we transformed them to 1,000 horsepower drift machines. And this is, until this day, it's a dream come true for me.
So I'm going to throw it back here, Ellie, to the first time that I actually met you. I had no idea about drifting. I'd just come off the back of making a TV show with Red Bull, and in 2018 I came to Mondello Park, which is the House of Drift in Ireland, and you were the first person to actually put me in a competition car, allowed me to start it, and then actually pull the sequential lever, which, moving forward today, I have one of those in my car because I was like, that feels absolutely sick doing that.
Yeah, this was the good old trusty E30 with a big V8 inside. I really love that car. And you might remember that actually the steering wheel was a little bit off-center, a little bit crooked. And when I was sitting inside, I actually had to sit like this because the roll cage was a little bit too close to my helmet. But the thing is, like, when we built the car, I felt it and I was like, oh, that doesn't feel right. 3 minutes in the car, gone. Next time in the car, I couldn't even realize that it was crooked, but the car is so much fun. And as you said, like, just feeling like when you press the clutch and put the first gear and you hear this clonk, you can already feel like, okay, this is business. This is serious business now.
I'm telling you guys, no feeling will ever be like when you sit into one of these cars and you clank it into first gear for the first time. You're like, oh, I feel like a proper racing car driver now.
Yeah.
And Connor, the first time I met you, I mean, you look totally different. You were 15 years old when I first met you, 21 now. Like, you've been in this game a long time, but also not on this planet a long time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I joined the journey at quite a young age, but It's been an incredible journey. I've enjoyed every single moment of it. Meeting guys like you, during the career is probably the most important part of drifting. Is creating memories, doing cool things with everybody. And I think you can agree. You came in 2018 for your first drift event, but now, the presenter of Drift Masters. It's quite crazy how fast stuff can change in this sport. But I think the connections what you build with everybody is quite insane. And same with Ellie. I looked up to this guy when I first came to our racetrack because I was a kid who raced karts, and you go to an event and you see a guy with a Red Bull helmet and you're like, oh, that guy must be doing something good. So for me, that was kind of the first moment in drifting when I seen Ellie and Joe. I was kind of had to step back and being like, damn, I wouldn't mind being a Red Bull athlete one day in this sport, and it's cool how far it progresses. So yeah, it's great moments for sure.
Ellie, do you remember the first time you met Connor?
Yes, first time was actually in Ireland. There was a national event on the docks.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yes, I was there. You and your brother were driving, Jack as well.
Yeah.
And I saw those guys going towards walls like with no hesitation, no nothing. Like they were no fear, nothing. And they were driving like hell. And I was like, wow. Because like in more like Central Europe where we were driving, there was like some walls sometimes, but mostly like one wall, a track or something. Most of the tracks didn't have walls, so I was not used to seeing that. In Ireland, it was basically walls all around on the docks, and those guys just hanging it in, and I was like, oh, they are proper. And next time I saw him was Masters 2018. He started the event at the age of 14. He ended the event with the age of 15, and in the middle step of the podium, this was crazy. Like beating James Dean back then in Płock,
Yeah,
if I'm not
lost in
mistaken.
Poland 2018.
This was like crazy and yeah, well deserved. And I knew like there's a bright future ahead.
Would you say kind of that was a moment that really put you on the map?
Yeah, 100%. And it's kind of a funny story because I wasn't even supposed to be at that race. I was still supposed to drive at a national championship in Ireland and England. And my dad was still heavily involved in our program back then. And my parents were pushing to get us to that stage, but I guess, to try get paid from this sport and all what follows. But it was a realization from my parents being like, oh, if you drive a national championship, it's actually going to cost more money than just putting you on the back of the truck where my brother was going to be driving in Europe. So I went there, and Thursday practice, I kind of just, honestly, I felt like I just became a different driver that weekend. It was kind of crazy, and it was nuts. It was the most insane, I think, night, bar, probably winning a championship. It was definitely the night what kind of was like, wow, I don't even know how to explain this in words. And obviously looked up to James my whole life, and never at 14, 15 would I even thought that I would have got the chance to battle him, never mind battle it out in one of the biggest competitions in Europe. So it was definitely the start of, I guess, putting my professional career on a platform.
Connor, I'm going to throw it to you here. I know from being young, like, you have that lack of fear when you're younger. Like, do you think it gave you that push to be able to, like, do you know what, that wall, I'm having it, I'm going in 60, no stress?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, I kind of noticed that as I'm getting older. I'm trying not to. I'm not that old, but
welcome.
Yeah, I'm like kind of asking myself those questions. But I think getting back to the point of like the future of the sport is like, it also comes back to you have more time. When you're a 13, 14-year-old kid, you go to school, and for me, my life was literally, I guess at the turning point of my career actually was probably COVID, which was like actually a crazy time because I had nothing else to do. I wasn't, working from home. I wasn't doing anything. So I literally sat on my simulator, played until 4 a.m. every night, and woke up at 12 o'clock and got back on the simulator. So I guess, it comes back to the generation now. And even for me, I think, winning biggest championship in Europe last year, and probably the biggest tool, what I would say, of being able to do that is still the simulator. It's laps and laps, and I see the guys coming up now, and it reminds me so much of myself when I was that age, because it also comes back to what you asked about having no fear, no worries. You're just in a car and you're not questioning what's going wrong. And to see like Manoa in the States, that's like, you're kind of, even for me at 21, being like, holy God, we're struggling right now. Like it's cool to see, but I think, as I said, it comes down to having the time to be able to do that. But for me, it's still one of the biggest training tools is gaming and simulation as much as possible. And I think that's what helps when you get out in the racetrack.
So we're going to jump into the fundamentals of drifting right now. So this is the most succinct explanation of this sport, which sometimes can be quite difficult to explain, but when you see it, it will all make total sense. So there's 4 main criteria. It's your speed, some say faster is better. Your style, this is your wow factor, how much angle you throw in, how aggressive your initiations are. Your line, this is absolutely imperative. When you're on a drift track, your line is the thing that is going to have you sitting on that top spot or not. And then it is your angle. Like obviously when you're driving a car at home, you've got somewhere around 35 degrees of angle. We're talking full luck here, guys. Almost 90 degrees whilst you're out there on track. Now, Ellie, it is quite difficult to understand, but once you actually see it, you're like, ah, that is it. That makes total sense.
Yeah, like I think if you see drifting for the first time, you should, in my eyes, start with the qualification where there's only one car on track, and then you actually can compare the runs to each other, and you will instantly see, okay, this guy really filled the full outer zone in the first turn, so he both wheels were in the zone all the way around. The other one maybe fell off halfway and stuff like that. So, and even like just a single car on track all of a sudden gets really exciting, because then you see, okay, all the guys have really a hard time to approach whatever outer zone 5 very early on the wall, because they come so fast in and they just allowed to break down after the transition and stuff like that. And those little things, they make drifting so special. And like, as I said, like if you watch like 4 or 5 runs, you already will pick up where are the important points and pieces, and then obviously the fun starts when the battles go on. So yeah, this is even more spectacular.
Connor, don't you just love being asked that question?
Yeah,
And you get asked that question, and everyone's like, what is drifting? And then everybody has their very own explanation. So I want to hear yours real quick. Elevator pitch. What is drifting?
I think to explain it, it's like you're in a battle, what you're trying to be the wildest driver ever, but to win you need to be the most calculated driver. So it's like you're fighting against each other the whole time. So, you know, I think if you have been interested in drifting and you fully don't understand it, I think it's for sure worth taking the time to like fully look into it, because as a person who watches drifting, if you understand that, it's way more enjoyable, and it gives you a way better understanding of like, okay, that guy is doing something pretty impressive, or that guy's just sliding a car, you know. And I think the golden question, what for me, when my friends are always making jokes, when like it's 3 pedals and a steering wheel and a handbrake, and it can't be that hard, you know. And it's like, I laugh because, you know, it's actually a good point, because it's a good conversation. You know, in my opinion, sliding a car isn't the hardest thing to do in the world, but sliding a car at 100 mile an hour with, you know, millimeters between a door, of trusting him and when he's going to brake, being able to read him, you know, you're doing stuff what reaction times needs to be absolutely insanely good. You're doing stuff you need to understand where grip is. You're feeling all different things, but you're going sideways. So, you know, a racing car driver will look and be like, oh, you've never felt what grip is in your life, and you're kind of like, okay, read 3 mile an hour at 100 mile an hour when you're a millimeter away from a door, and see if you can not hit him.
So let's sort of talk about how your choice of vehicle reflects your personality. I mean,